Nothing, not right there. And if you look at DM in his texts, who knows what he's capable of? Oh, yeah. That's always on your mind in this circumstance. But I mean, look at what he's capable of. We're still trying to figure out exactly what he did. Are you confident that it was Daniel? I am. I've got no qualms saying it. I got no problem saying that I feel that Daniel's taking out his aggression on the kids as a way to hurt Malaya that night. And that was what happened to the children. That's the incident that they all have to now cover up for Daniel. Now, how he did it, I don't know yet. But I don't have to guess in that sense. We'll get enough of the information. And it has to be, the driving factor, I should say, why I feel that way, is the sheer desperation, the level of desperation, and the virgin in a cucumber patch this guy is in dealing with issues at hand. He's not afraid to hold on to the weakest assertions that are so problematic it's impossible for you to get around. It tells you that there's not going to be a whole lot of context behind it. It's all for superficial reasons in this sense, which would be an indicator of guilt. And he's doing it because he's admitting to the worst. He's trying to get away with what it is that he has done. Not an accident, not getting into something. There's no accidents. Accidents don't need to be covered up. The more he lies, the more he gives himself away into this conspiracy to cover up the realities and the facts that are important to any case, but specifically his in the moment now. And he refuses to acknowledge or go along with that. In placement, he wants you to believe that there was nothing worth remembering. That's him refusing to answer the question. Everybody in here knows that there's 24 hours in a day. And you're going to sit down and you're going to fill those hours in. We're going to sort that out. He refuses to do that because what it does to the police in the investigation is it brings them to the next level and layer of questioning, which is going to be a lot more accurate, where he's going to get tripped up, and he's avoiding that area altogether. He doesn't want to get there. He wants to play stupid in that sense. Like this is the cop's first day on the job. He thinks no answer is better, a better placement than the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is not pretty. Okay, that's why they're all tied into this. Right, just a normal day. He wants the book closed. They all seem to want that. They all don't want to progress this situation. They don't want to progress the situation and go beyond the lies that they presented the RCMP on the day that Malaya called and reported her own kids missing. She lied about the circumstances in that phone call. The 3 sentences were just out and out blatant lies. And there's nothing that you can do about that. And that's why people have every right to hold her into account in this circumstance. And you can hide behind your little catchphrases in pretending to be a victim of somebody shaming. This has nothing to do with shaming you. This has everything to do with the truth and the reality behind the situation in relation to Jack and Lily Sullivan. The issue that you guys are too cowardly to speak up about. Because you're meddling, no good bitches. You're clout chasers. You have them in every industry. And including in most friend circles. the truth of this situation shouldn't be something anybody's running from. Anybody's worried about confusing the police investigation. That's a selfish, delusional way of looking at things, and a self-centered one. Could almost even take it to a racist one. But we don't need to go there. Yeah, I want them to find Jack and Lily. We want the case closed, both the case closed and they haven't been found. What does that mean, Jen Nova says? I love how they pretend to be spreading awareness and using all of this rhetoric that really has no fucking meaning. As though that's just what you say in this sense. This gives yourself away. "23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4 seconds a day." So there's 3 minutes, 56 seconds of the day Daniel might be telling the truth about. Well, that's some great math going on. You know what teriology is? From Terrence McKenna? Shit. That fucking guy is wacky. Well, I've never seen somebody so narcissistic in my life, but I get it. I get knowing his background. But his teriology and all of his 1 × 1 = 2 stuff, I got in a deep dive in those videos on YouTube over the last week. Christ. Anyway. Popping in my head. Esther, if the truth had been told, Lily and Jack would be at peace. Absolutely. I have no doubt Malaya is still going with that particular story that she told everybody, which is a out and out blatant lie. All right. So as long as that's out, and all it takes is a sentence, she could call the RCMP. She could go down there right now and sort all of this out. That's what the right thing to do would be. Like it or not. But it's going to really inconvenience Malaya's freedom on some level. And Dan's and Janie's. And just because she's a victim in all of this as well doesn't automatically erase her contribution to the scenario in totality. It's not us judging, that's just us talking about a fact. We don't want the facts based on what it is that Malaya wants us to know in that sense. We don't and aren't reliant on it. We'll figure it out on our own, just like the RCMP have to. Jen Nova says the economy is so expensive. Isn't it nice to get something for free? No, there's nothing for free. I love that we live in their head rent free all day long, haunting them with Jack and Lily, knowing we're not giving up in that sense. Well, it starts with your desire to seek the truth in this situation. You know, I don't think that there's anything worse than the individual who automatically hears a couple pieces of information and then adopts a brand new way of thinking and all of a sudden gets triggered into now needing to defend Malaya in a different way, kind of like Holly Jolly does in my comments section. That's the kind of person I don't need, or you don't want to be around to begin with, because you're a little unbalanced. You know, it's horrible what Malaya had to go through in this relationship to begin with. But it doesn't mean that I think that she's any less responsible at some level for all of this. And that's what she's running away from. And she's not going to be able to run away from this. She could be doing right. You know, it's like some other guy. It's like reaching out there and using something that isn't real in place of the information that she would have otherwise given herself away with. Oh, you're so kind, Helicopter Grandma.
After Daniel helped me, I continue putting the boards on the fence. But there was another fence on the other side that was there before that. So I was out there doing my fence. Jack and Lily were in the backyard playing. I came in the house to have some supper. I do not know when the kids went in the house. I don't know what time they went to bed. I don't know anything of that.
Interesting.
That's all I can tell you is from what I told you. My brother called me at 8:48. We talked for 2 minutes, 59 seconds.
Yeah, now you're talking the real nor'easter. That's why I want to be out there, because I'm such an avid fisherman. I already know how to fish, but I want to learn how to fish in a different way. Like, the ocean is a whole lot different than the Great Lakes, right? Obviously. And I garden like a maniac too, so I'd have my busy right there. I'd like to buy a little boat, nice little cove, putter on out in there and, get me some lobster. Legal lobster, of course. Welcome, Leslie O'Donovan. I appreciate that. Welcome, my friend. Helicopter Grandma on gravel. She must think we fell off the turnip truck yesterday. She's 2 fries short of a Happy Meal. I like that one.
That I laid down. My dog barked because Lily and Jack were here where the swings are. I have a board up over my window. I did not see them because the board was closed. The reason I have a board up over my window is for the winter time to keep the draft out and for the summertime to keep the sun out. I heard them Friday morning. I swear on a Bible. Better than that, I swear.
The fact that she just swore in that Bible tells me that she didn't hear them Friday morning. Do you know what I'm saying? Now that I get to know her patterns and things like that, the fact that she has to rely and bring Jesus into it and her father's grave as though it's supposed to add credibility to her claim that she saw them Friday morning tells me that she didn't. That's a problem. What else is cool, though, too, I guess if we're fantasizing nor'easter, Google Earth, you scroll out, and there's all kinds of different little islands out around in the Gulf of the St. Lawrence, and even there's that Pictou Island just off of New Glasgow. People are all up in there, living in there. They've got little farms out on the island. That would be so fucking cool to go out there. I mean, you'd be isolated, but fuck, you're isolated in Nova Scotia anyway. That'd be just up my alley. Here in Ontario, there's a place for sale way up on Lake Superior. It's its own private island. The guy wanted $70,000 for it. It had a nice little dock, had all of the hookups. Like you could snowmobile out there in the winter and boat out there in the fall. You could live out there all the time if you wanted. I wanted to get that place so bad. But I mean, that's isolated. Just fine by me. My fishing pole wouldn't ever come out of that lake. With so much fish, I'd be smoking it, be eating it. I wouldn't know what to do. I'd have to go and trade it. Trade it for some of the ganja.
There on my father's grave, I heard them Friday morning. So the kids were here Friday morning. After that, I don't know what happened to them. My first instinct when she told me the kids were missing was check the woods. That's what I did. And when I found out they were not in the woods, I said they're not in the woods. And for what she said about Jack and Lily wandering, that's a bunch of BS. The only time they go anywhere up in the woods is when my other 2 grandchildren are here. And
so here you go again. Here you go. There's the trifecta of individuals that are there that are now contradicting each other's story. This is Janie telling you what we're telling you, that the kids were not known to wander, and she's reiterating that to a greater audience after the fact. Really saying that Malaya lied to the RCMP on the phone. So the question still comes back to you, Janie, as to why you would automatically then think the kids went into the bush if they weren't known to wander in the bush. Just another initial contradiction on your own claims. You're trying too hard in that sense. OMG. Where did I see that? Jesse D, you've heard this interview 100 times, but not the Bible or her dad's grave part. Sometimes you fool yourself. You're like, oh, here we go. Here goes Janie again. I thought I just heard this, because she repeats her certain parts of the story like it was written down on paper. And then you realize that there's a trailer on it that you haven't heard before. Yeah, that happens often, or you've forgotten, or it sticks out to you at a different point in time. It's so rich in bullshit, if that could be a thing for the sake of this show. I mean, it's so rich in deception in these statements of Janie's. I mean, you come out of it after a while feeling that you've actually learned something about an individual. Not in the way that she intended, but the way and how they speak, they behave in light of what's going on. I mean, it's a travesty, of course. You haven't done Chase the Ace in a while? What's going on, Black Opal? Why does JM have to say things slow? What are we, 2 years old? Well, she's careful to pronounce every word that she's reading off the paper she has hanging on the side of the RV. I wonder what... She'll be in the trailer again, though. When did she move back into the trailer? I guess it's none of our business, is it? When I found out that they were not in the woods, how did she find that out? She knows where they are? Yes, Lee. Yeah. Like, how does she verify that for herself? Is the question, right? I get what you're saying. What are her indicators? She skips over these things like she skips over the time.
Always kept an eye on by me. And if Daniel's in the yard, he watches them too. And for what she said about Jack and Lily wandering, that's a bunch of BS. The only time they go anywhere up in the woods is when my other two grandchildren are here. And they're always kept an eye on by me. And if Daniel's in the yard, he watches them too. And the kids have never wandered away or never gone in the woods by themselves in the last 2 years. Why all of a sudden would they do it Friday morning? And there's three questions I cannot answer. The first question is who would know the kids were home? And number two, who would know when they were outside? And number three, when I saw Malaya outside my RV,
see, here's the problem. You can answer all of those questions. You won't answer all of those questions, Janie. The fact that you're bringing them up as questions that you can't answer tells us your answer before. In this situation, it's not helping you. But the flawed logic that you're presenting people is more of a riddle than it is anything, and it's an attempt for you to deflect away from the topic. You had the chance to answer the question directly and be truthful and honest, like you're expecting us to take you, but you choose other ways. You choose to take advantage of that.
She crying, or why wasn't she hysterical if her kids went missing 20 minutes ago? And here's another thing.
Think about that. Why isn't she hysterical if she knew her kids were gone for 20 minutes? Well, that's such a paradoxical question. Think about that in as a philosophical question. Like, first of all, don't you think the question would be, how do you know your kids are missing in the first place? What makes you believe that your children